So I said that the wrestling media was going to absolutely trash the Wyatt Six Uncle Howdy gimmick when they debuted, and that has come to pass. Um, I'm going to read something first, and then we'll get into the other two things. As my fan will not stay. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Oh man, I keep a fan in my truck, and for some reason it would not stay on my little table that I have. It wanted to keep falling down. But anyway, um, Wyatt Six. They debuted last night, and the wrestling media has already begun to trash the angle. And we barely, for all those saying that, oh, they're dead, they're dead. WWE doesn't kill people, okay? They're not quote unquote dead. They're just beat up really bad. I mean, come on. How stupid and thick headed can you be? But I'm going to read this right here, and then we'll air what Meltzer and Post Wrestling thought about this. But this right here comes from Matt Macklin at Pro Wrestling Insider. He posted this. He goes, "They're here. The Wyatt Six have arrived. Full disclosure: I hated the Fiend character and everything surrounding it. I love the original Bray Wyatt character, but the wacky, supernatural, and over-the-top production of the Fiend just never did it for me. It was way more silly than scary, in my opinion. When I think of the worst of modern Vince McMahon's WWE, I immediately think of The Fiend, and it was my breaking point with WWE." Okay, I have to stop right there. That whole Fiend character was 100% Bray Wyatt's deal. Vince McMahon kind of maybe put in a 2 cents here or there. But the Fiend deal, I mean, I'll give him the Hell in a Cell match with Rollins. That stunk up the joint. I'll put that on McMahon for approving it. But anyway, it was the thing that made me stop watching WWE Weekly for the first time in my life. Paul Levesque spoke in the Great Bray Wyatt documentary on Peacock about the issues with the character and how outlandish the ideas got. The ideas became more and more difficult to fit in the confines of pro wrestling, which seemed to be the breakdown between Bray Wyatt and WWE, which led to his departure from the company. No, I will tell you this. What led to his departure from the company was the fact that he kept wanting time off. Because people do not realize how much of a really deep, dark depression that man went into when Brody Lee died. He pretty much took that he took it really, really hard. So that's what kind of led to him getting released, was the fact that he kept wanting time off. And it got to the point where WWE was like, hey, you either have to come back or we're going to release you. And they released him. It had nothing to do with the ideas of his characters. Okay? Come on. How thick headed can you be? Now, I will say that from a pro wrestling standpoint, that Hell in a Cell match pretty much killed the character out the door. And Vince McMahon may have had something to do with it. But the whole painting the thing red and the red lights going on, that, yes, I will give people that. That was 100% stupid. But to not have any faith in this, Wyndham Rotunda, quite frankly, he's gone. I mean, I hate to say that about somebody who's dead. But Taylor Rotunda is now taking over the ship. And nobody has any faith in it. We are not going to see, I find it hard to believe that we would see 100% what Bray Wyatt's vision was. Maybe Taylor did not know. Maybe Bo Dallas, Taylor Rotunda, doesn't know what all he had planned. These masks, I have to believe. This campaign's going on for 3 months now. It's been, let's see, over a year. When did they debut that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match? Hold on one second. That was at the Royal Rumble of 20. It was 2 years ago almost, wasn't it? Yeah, 2023. So, or a year ago. Okay, over a year and a half ago. Sorry, guys. So I have to tend to believe that these masks that these people are wearing were probably something that was ready to go, was probably something that was planned. We did know that these characters were supposed to be, it may not be the exact people, but these characters were the people that are, when we saw at Extreme Rules 2 years ago, the Funhouse characters come in. I said then, I don't think that we're going to see men in fucking suits running around, bunny suits running around. But I did think we were going to see something kind of like this. Um, and I like the direction it's going. But the wrestling media does not. They think it's stupid. They think it's too spooky. And they get, as we'll hear in a minute, some things can go. Some things can, we can believe that a man actually wrestles with his hands in his pockets. We can buy that as legitimate. When it's a joke, it's stupid. We can buy people putting thumbtacks on the bottom of their shoes and having exploding sneakers, and that's okay. Barbed wire death match that turned out to be a fart in the wind. We gave that kind of a pass. There are things, that AEW and other wrestling promotions do that people give a pass about. How many matches have you seen where dance breaks break out in the middle of it? How many matches have you seen where, people are running the ropes and the guy goes, wait, and the guy stops and you step on his foot? Oh, that's okay. That gimmick's okay. And as you'll hear on woke wrestling, post wrestling, they even bring up the Undertaker deal and how, yeah, the matches were good. We didn't see that version of Bray Wyatt long enough before he got injured because he never even made it to WrestleMania. I don't even think he made it to the next pay-per-view. The Uncle Howdy stuff was just getting started, and Bray Wyatt became ill. So that never got a chance to get off the ground. People were solely basing it on The Fiend. Now, we do know that The Fiend was supposed to be a character. He's a new form of The Fiend. I like the Fiend character. Without that Fiend character, I would never have gotten through the pandemic era of wrestling, to be honest. But to say, oh, it ruined it and it's chilly rather than spooky, okay, this guy, the same guy who wrote this, probably loves every Nightmare on Elm Street DVD, or movie, I should say. But think about how silly Freddy Krueger got as they went on. Look at Jason. Look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Look at Chucky. So give me a break. Give me a break. You gotta kind of suspend your disbelief here, folks. And if you're not, do you watch The Walking Dead going, those zombies ain't real? Come on. How many times in a TV show does your favorite character, quote unquote, die only to come back 2 seasons later? That happens. So I think we need to give these guys the benefit of the doubt and not be so quick to jump in. I'm gonna start with Dave Meltzer and their take on it. Let's play that video. I'll play the main video first, and then I'll come back with some thoughts because Brian Alvarez completely contradicts himself here.
Well, the Raw show on Monday had several big angles, including Drew McIntyre quitting WWE.
And deleting all of his social media.
Yeah, deleted all of his social media.
He's playing this one, all the way.
Yeah. And we also had the debut of the Wyatt Sick6, Uncle Howdy and his creeps. And
it was a debut.
They murdered everybody.
They murdered many people backstage.
Here's my biggest problem with this whole thing, okay?
Yes.
So Drew quit, right? And he goes backstage to the curtain, and he confronts Triple H in Gorilla. And he goes to leave, and Pierce says, I'll take care of this. And so he leaves with Drew. Hunter is still in Gorilla. Well, when these guys murdered everybody in Gorilla was murdered.
Except for Hunter.
How do you know that?
Because they're not going to murder him.
Well, that's ridiculous. Where was the guy?
Maybe he was in the bathroom. I don't know. But he ain't getting murdered.
I don't know, man.
And he's like the video game. Remember the video game?
The video game?
Yeah, when he was in the video game.
He was unbeatable?
When they wouldn't let anyone have to put commercials on with him selling.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. He ain't getting murdered.
Well, anyway, the show also opened with the return of Seth Rollins, and he came out and...
What do you think of that? I mean, the thing with those guys is like the people were waiting for it, and they were really.
Are we back
excited.
in the main event segment?
Yes, we're back in the main event segment, and the people were really excited about it, and they reacted really, really big, and they murdered everybody. But the thing is, like, what happens when they have to wrestle?
Well, that's the whole thing. I have no thoughts on it yet because it was just a return angle. They had to do something, and the question is, well, now what? I mean,
yeah,
they're going to have matches, and guy's going to wrestle in a bird outfit. I mean, the Vintner's got a giant mallet. I mean, I don't know.
I
certainly, I mean, as a fair man, I'll give it a shot, but I have low expectations for this one here.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a lot of concern because for this angle, these guys have to be Supermen, and so many of them and everything doing the no-sell thing. I mean, does that mean Nikki Cross is going to turn into... remember when Alexa Bliss had that superhuman strength for a while?
Yeah, it sucked.
It did suck. Yeah.
And rest in peace, Bray Wyatt, but a lot of that stuff sucked. You killed off a lot of baby faces. He
did kill off a lot of baby faces.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now there's 6 of them.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one to book. Like the first one, clearly got over big with the crowd. And the other interesting thing is that like I mean, I can see it now. It's really obvious. But it's like I guess the big feud would be Jey Uso because Jey Uso was doing the Bray Wyatt entrance.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
they brought him in. They brought him in right when Jey Uso had won.
Yeah, but it was also they did a main event involving Jey Uso, and this obviously had to go on last. So I guess they could have put that match somewhere else.
But I think that's not a coincidence. He does the entrance with all the lights, and then he wins, and then all the lights, and then these guys come. So, and they've been doing the lights thing for him for a while. So, he might be the point man in this thing.
I feel bad for the guy.
I kind of do, too.
We had Jey Uso, Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio, three-way Money in the Bank qualifier. And it was a good professional WWE three-way, but, I mean, there was nothing that was all that exceptional about it.
It was all right. I mean, it was the best match on the show.
Yeah, which is low praise.
It is low praise, I know.
Rey made a comeback. He had a double Hurricane Rana, goes up to the top. Dom interferes. He goes after Dom. Carlito and JD triple team him. Braun runs down, he chases him off, and then Finn makes a big comeback. He hits a coup de grace on Rey, but then Jey Uso comes off the top, hits a splash, pins Finn Balor. So Jay's qualified for Money in the Bank. And as he's celebrating, the lights go out. Everybody turns on their iPhone lights. And first we get a spooky door, and it opens up, and everything goes black. And then we get a creepy figure, Nikki Cross, crawling towards a lantern. And she points to the backstage area, and the camera heads backstage. This is all one uninterrupted cut, by the way, which when you hear about how it goes, that was a pretty ballsy move. So there's bodies everywhere. The Vintner is there in a rabbit mask. He's got his big mallet. More bodies are laid out. Strowman is there. We get presumably Dexter Lumis in a bird mask. We got Huskus in a gas mask. I believe that's Joe Gacy. Chad Gable's shown all dead and bloody. And then there's Uncle Howdy. And they've given him the Bray Wyatt dreadlocks. and he walks through the curtain with the rest of these creeps, picks up the lantern, and blows it out as the show goes off the air. And I mean, the crowd was into it. They
were very
cheered for
into
it. They were happy to see it. They chanted "Holy shit" when Uncle Howdy showed up, and it's the follow-up. It's always the follow-up.
Oh yeah, especially in this one, yeah.
And we'll see what the follow-up is to murdering everybody in the backstage area. So yeah, that was a Raw show.
Now, at the beginning of that edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, they're talking about the sad passing of two wrestlers, one of which is a Canadian wrestler with a crazy gimmick. And listen to what Brian says at the beginning of that episode of the show. I mean, he later goes on to bash Uncle Howdy and bash this whole storyline and bash this whole angle, saying, yes, it's cool production, but the angle itself, and what it stood for was crap, pretty much is what he said. But listen to what he says about this wrestler, who sadly passed away, and his gimmick. Let's roll that footage.
Today, including, unfortunately, two wrestlers passing away over the past several days, Scott Henson and James Castle. And I knew Scott Henson. I can't say that I knew him really well, but he worked as the Big Cat. And a couple of months ago, I went up to a Boom Pro Wrestling show. Is
that the group in Vancouver?
It's the one with Abe Lincoln.
With Abe Lincoln, yeah. I know that Brady Roberts runs it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we actually planned to go to the show, and then as coincidence would have it, like the weekend that we went up, a couple of days prior was when the Chris Jericho podcast came out talking about Boom Pro Wrestling. So, they sell out pretty much every show the moment tickets go on sale. And, they got a lot of press for Abe Lincoln working the show. And Scott Henson was in the opener.
Isn't he a little old to be wrestling?
Dave, he's a very special guy, that Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
But the opener on the show was with the Big Cat. And he did a Big Cat gimmick. Wore the whole cat outfit. He did tiger drivers. He did tiger suplexes. He would instead of the handshake, he would rub his face against his opponent like a cat would. And the place loved it. I mean, it was a great opener. I mean, it was a good match. It was one of the things about Boom Pro Wrestling that I had so much fun at that show because there was like a whole bunch of wacky gimmicks. But then when the bell rang, they had really good matches.
So you're meaning to tell me that you can, and it doesn't matter what show it's on. It doesn't matter if it's an indie show. It doesn't matter if it's WWE, TNA, AEW, whatever. You can buy a guy who dressed up as a cat and wrestled as a cat, nuzzling people and doing a cat gimmick. You can put that over with praise. And you can put over the fact that, Abe Lincoln wrestled. They had a guy dressed as Abe Lincoln wrestling. But this is too out there for you? The Wyatt Sick6 are too out there for you? What a freaking joke this guy is. What a joke. People wrestling with their hands in their pockets? Okay. Somebody in a damn bird mask, a buzzard mask, that they're probably going to take off and not wrestle in? No, they're not going to wrestle in a bird suit. Although, but you like people dressed up as a cat. So what's wrong with birds? Why not have the damn buzzard wrestle? These are masks and outfits. You're not going to see the vintner, as he always calls Eric Rowan. I can't stand that crap. Call him Eric Rowan. Don't be calling him the vintner. So stupid. Anyway, you can put up with one thing. Abe Lincoln, a guy dressed as Abe Lincoln wrestling, and Dave Meltzer, is he a little old? Stupid. It's a double standard with you guys, and it needs to stop. It desperately needs to stop. I don't think they're going to be wrestling in their masks. I think that I'll go into it here in a future video, but I think in next week we're going to get promos from these guys. Hopefully it's an in-ring promo. They say they film vignettes. Hopefully we don't get more vignettes. I don't want, unless it's this Friday, maybe we get another QR code, but we'll get into that later. But I don't think that Joe Gacy is going to be wrestling with that pig mask on. It's impossible. Look at the way it's designed. These guys are designed, these masks are designed by Jason Baker, not to be used in matches. They're props. And to call these guys, his creeps. And they killed everybody. They didn't. WWE doesn't do murder, you jackass. WWE does not do murder. Hell, they had to come out and release footage. Remember the Great American Bash, 2004, the Dudley Boys versus Undertaker Concrete Crypt match. That got a, people are like, oh my God, he murdered Paul Bearer. They had to release footage of him getting, dragged out of the concrete crypt. And WWE had to come out and say, we don't do murder. Nobody got murdered. I don't take it as they got murdered. I take it as they all got taken out. The security guards got taken out. Triple H even said it at the press conference after Clash of the Castle. Security guards are a very good thing to get into with WWE. You'll go far being a security guard with the company. I think everybody who participated in that did their jobs beautifully. You got to suspend your disbelief a little bit here. Anyway, let's now move over to post wrestling, because something tells me that if it would have been if Uncle Howdy would have had a gay pride flag strapped to his chest, these guys would have virtue signaled it all over, because that's all these guys like to do is virtue signal. Not that there's anything wrong with gay people. Oh God, here we go. Gay people. I was using it as an example. Get over yourselves. But these guys are the same way. They even bring up the Undertaker in this clip. So this is from John Pollock and Wei Ting over at Post Wrestling, talking about the debut, and they literally bash it to smithereens.
The lights go out, and we've got 6 minutes left in the show, and we get the dry ice throughout the floor, and a big door opens. And
almost exactly like Extreme Rules.
It was almost verbatim of the Extreme Rules return of Bray Wyatt in 2022. The door opens and out crawls Nikki Cross towards a lantern. And then we have kind of like a first-person perspective taking us through the backstage area where everyone is laid out unconscious. There's a blood splatter all over the wall of, I guess someone got shot in the head. And it's amid the various characters that now make up, I guess we'll call them the Wyatt Six, if that's the official name they're going with. And this includes a bloodied Chad Gable. Maybe there were some others, but I didn't see them all. It was very darkened. And then we come upon Uncle Howdy, who walks towards the entrance as the 5 members of this group reach the lantern, and that is how the show goes off.
5. So far 5 members. A 6th, I guess, to be determined, to be revealed. But we can probably assume like the identities of the 5 that we saw today, and they were each playing one of the characters that I guess were inspired by the members of the Firefly Funhouse. We have, of course, Nikki Cross dressed up as who we would assume to be a version of Sister Abigail, if not Sister Abigail herself. We have Ramblin' Rabbit with the mallet, and of course we can you and I know those mallets really well. Probably Eric Rowan attached to that. Now we also have Mercy the Buzzard, who is sitting atop the dresser, and just by judging the tattoos, I think we can assume that to be Dexter Loomis. And then we have a guy in the pig mask, and again, maybe judging by the tattoos, I would assume Joe Gacy. So those are at least the 5 right now, and if there is a 6th, I guess we will find out. But what an incredibly cool visual to close off. What were your thoughts on the segment itself?
very elaborate in terms of like the presentation of it. I think that it like to do this on live television, like I think like much like the Bray return, like you're doing this live and you were adding in the perspective of like the camera operator that pretty much had to just go and it's like just one continuous shot backstage. I thought that like the production of it was very, very high end. At the end of this, I can't say this is an element of WWE that I was missing. I will be open-minded to this. I think that this is going to be, you are obviously going to have so much positive sentiment towards this because of the like just automatic attachment to Bray Wyatt, the fact that his brother is involved here. There are going to be a lot of people rooting for this to succeed. I think it's going to be very difficult to weave this in. But again, I want to see how it's done and how it differs from the last time. I was not a big fan of the Wyatt family, the last incarnation. They brought him in. It was like a great return of Bray Wyatt. That Extreme Rules, I think, was very effective. The QR code campaign did really well for them. And several months in, we sort of, that lessened with a lot of people. So we will see where this goes in terms of an introduction. Like it seemed like the audience thought this was super cool, and there's definitely going to be the people that love this kind of thing, and it's got a lot of sentimental value for people. I am not sold on it though. It's just it's not really. I've just seen this struggle a lot, that they have never been able to really nail down these types of characters in WWE, and we will see if they have some alternate direction to go in.
So they've had many tries at this, just kind of throughout the Bray Wyatt, career itself. They've had many instances of trying to push this sort of supernatural story, character, group, whatever you want to call it. And the failing has always seemed to be the match itself. The vignettes are always almost cool. They even dating back to like Bray Wyatt's debut. Certainly, everything to do with the White Rabbit or the Fiend, like the everything leading up to it, the production has always been amazing. And that was exactly the case with this. Like this visual is amazing. Seeing this group like together as the five of them with the Bray Wyatt lantern as well. It looked amazing. It's going to be about the matches and whatever will result in ring. That will be the determinant of whether or not this is going to be a complete success. We can, I think, already tell that in terms of merchandising, that alone is enough to justify the existence of a group like this. They're going to sell a ton of merch just based off of like this sort of imagery. So I do think there's a real place for this, certainly within a modern day WWE. The fans are telling you that they all want it. But can it deliver when it's time to bring a match in? Can they get by simply promoting this without having to have it end in ring? Or are they going to maybe take a bit more of a realistic slant to the in-ring portions of this and just have these guys come out as like, these crazy characters, but they will have more straight up wrestling matches? Is that going to be a successful formula?
Does it work as a babyface act? Like, did you take them? Like, it's gonna be very tough for these audiences to like boo this act because of the connections to Bray Wyatt, but it really does not lend itself to being babyface characters either. Like there's a lot of struggle with this that you can foresee, but again, I'll be open-minded about it. If it works, it works. But
I think they should be taking the Undertaker, formula with this. And like the Undertaker, yes, was spooky throughout like most of his career, but when I think wrestling audiences became a bit more sophisticated, to me, like he reached his peak when he was sort of like, I don't know, respected as like this sort of incredible netherworldly being, but still ended up having pretty straightforward wrestling matches. Now, is there a great wrestler among this group? Okay, that's another kind of big question. Who is really the strongest wrestler of them all?
Nikki Cross.
Like maybe I like Eric Rowan, but like can you get great wrestling matches in 2024? I think that matters way more than really anything else. Like you could be flashy as hell, you could be marketable with a gimmick, but how high you are going to be on a card, I think it very much is determined about whether or not you could deliver in the ring. That's even true for the WWE, a company as sort of like as heavy on like these sort of things. People like, do you agree, guys? Nikki Cross is the best wrestler among the group. Chat room is weighing in right now.
And I hope their chat room told them that they're all good wrestlers, because they are. Joe Gacy, go watch his work in NXT and as well. I mean, the man's amazing. The man's really good. He had a hell of a match at Stand to Deliver this year. This is a chance for him to come up to the main roster and be a little bit reborn. I love it. Dexter Lumis has a cold-hearted stare, and he was really good at his gimmick, and the matches weren't that bad either. Eric Rowan is Eric Rowan. You know what you're getting out of him. He's not the most horrible guy on the bunch. Nikki Cross is a damn good worker. I wouldn't say she's the best in the bunch, but she can work when they give her a chance to work. That's just it. When have they saddled her with the superhero gimmick. They gave her the deal where she was Alexa Bliss's tag-along partner. They did the sanity bit where she's always been kind of part of a group, unless she was doing the superhero thing, which hindered her. And there's a rumor that this is going to be a breakout role for her, that she is the linchpin, or one of the linchpins of this group. That she is going to be have something major to do with this group. Then you got Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas is a damn fine worker. Again, they saddled him with the Bo Leave deal in WWE. The stuff he did in NXT all those years ago was great. It was absolutely phenomenal. He was a former NXT champion, for crying out loud. He was so good at what he did, guys. So yes, those are 3 instances of the wrestling media absolutely trashing this before it even gets out of the gate. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to be back with another video either today or tomorrow, on giving my thoughts on what's next. We got NXT tonight. I will tell you that NXT, I don't look for anything major in this battle royal. People are going, oh, other locker rooms. If you go read the TNA spoilers that they taped in Chicago last weekend or this past weekend, there were no NXT guys on any of those shows. As I said, this whole relationship with NXT does not benefit TNA at all. Why do you want to help out a company whose owners don't want to help themselves? Anyway, that's going to do it for me. What do you think about the Wyatt Six? I loved everything about it last night, honestly. No, I didn't think anybody was dead. Come on. WWE doesn't do death, but you do have to suspend your disbelief. Remember the movie Ready to Rumble? Yeah, how could we forget that blockbuster? But there's a scene in the movie where the 2 main antagonists go visit Oliver Platt's character, Jimmy King, and they are all in on this. They think everything's real, and Jimmy King has to look at them and go, guys, you realize what we do is like the circus. We're dancing. Dancing clowns in the circus. A little soap opera got thrown in. And that's what this was. A little soap opera got thrown in on you. Anyway, we'll see you guys down the road.